Hey, welcome to another live stream. We're actually back after a couple of months not doing these, but we're going to be doing these every Saturday or Sunday. We still have to figure out what works best for the community, but I love doing these because it's a great way to talk to all of you and just kind of an informal chat about what we're doing. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing some community and channel shout outs. Some of you that have left some great comments in the communities that I really want to talk about and address, as well as some of the channels that I visit all the time and I think are really great resources for you. So we're going to get started here pretty quickly. I see a few people coming in, and thank you. I appreciate you being here. Hey, Ocean Mist and Y Eaton, thank you for being here, JF. More of what we're going to cover after we do some of those community and channel shoutouts. We're going to be talking about the best side hustle ideas we've covered in the last 2 weeks. We've talked about 20 side hustle ideas, and quite a few of them we went more in depth in exactly how to set them up. So that's going to be really exciting, and really why everyone needs these extra sources of income, not just to reach that financial freedom and to make more money, but for really what's called income insurance. And it's something that most people don't think about, but it's going to be extremely important, especially as we go on over the next few years. We're going to talk about some of the interviews that I did with JD Roth Friday, and then we've got one coming up Monday, which were excellent videos, one of the best videos I've done for the channel. And some of the stuff he's talked about, as well as I've got a series of investing videos coming up. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek into some of those, talking about some penny stocks, talking about some kind of professional ways to look at stocks, and finally we'll get to some question and answer. So I want to take all your questions and talk to you. Really just kind of an informal chat. Like I said, I love doing these, and we're going to try doing them every week, just kind of reaching out to the community. So, let's get to a few of the comments and a few of the community people that I want to call out. I appreciate everybody, coming around and leaving comments on the videos. This first one I got here was from Eddie a couple weeks ago. It was, and I think this is a problem I have with talking about some of these side hustles and these things, and I've talked to Eddie over the comments and over email a couple of times. And he's coming from the perspective of a very, very new beginner. He isn't even really sure how to blog or a lot of this stuff that goes on online. So we've been talking back and forth about what we can do here on the channel to really help those people that maybe are starting from a very much more beginning phase than a lot of people. And like I said, this is kind of a hard one for me because I've been working in this so long, this online atmosphere, setting up blogs and the YouTube channel and affiliate networking and all that. So this is why I need you to be watching, commenting in the videos, leaving a comment of what you liked about the video, what you didn't like is just as important. I need that constructive criticism, and I need you to tell me what you want to see in the videos. And how to help you, because that's really what I'm here for, is to help you out, kind of share this journey that I've taken to reach that financial freedom, to reach from basically my first job I was making $32,000 a year, hated it, hated every day of my life. A third of the day was just spent there zoning out in front of the computer and wishing for early retirement. And now, I'm creating a six-figure income. I can work from home and am actually working more hours than I used to, but I enjoy it so much more. So I want to help you, take you on that journey and help everyone in the community. But I need to know, where you're starting from, what you want to see, and what you need to see. Our next comment here is from Eric, and we'll transition over here. And Eric was talking about how to invest in a Roth IRA and what should go in there. And this is something that I've talked about on in some of the videos, and it's extremely important. Not necessarily what you invest in, those stocks that you pick, but actually just how you invest. That's the ways that you're going to save on your taxes, the ways you're going to save in fees is actually so much more important than the what you invest in. So I talk about that as much as I can. With this specifically, my strategy for retirement investing is you need to be putting all your cash yield investments, so your dividend stocks, your REITs, the funds, those ETFs that pay dividends, put those in a retirement account, okay? Because otherwise you're going to be paying taxes on those dividends every single year, and that's not only are you going to lose the taxes that you paid on those dividends, but all the money that you would have made in the future years on those. So you put all that in your retirement accounts, an IRA, Roth IRA, or your 401k, and then any investments that don't pay dividends, that don't have that annual cash flow, then you can put those in a regular taxable account because you're not going to pay taxes on them until you sell them in those capital gains. So if you're a long-term investor, that's going to be 10, 20 years out in the future. So those are the two questions I wanted to cover this week. Thank you, Eric and Eddie, for those. And like I said, tell me what you need and tell me what you liked and didn't like about the videos in the comments. And we'll be doing these comments and community shout outs every week. Now I want to shout out a couple of channels that have been great members of the community and channels that I follow quite a bit. There's first is Mary from A Merry Life on a Budget, and Mary covers some great budgeting ideas. What I like about Mary's channel actually is she's got a really detailed budgeting planner that she works through, and she actually kind of she works through it in with pen and paper, which is something I think we don't really do a whole lot anymore. But it really gives you a better sense, I think, of what you're spending and how everything works together. So that's A Merry Life on a Budget. Also, Kelly from Freedom in a Budget, another great channel, and Kelly does a lot of budgeting stuff too. But she also does meal prep. She's doing like a kind of a meal prep business with cooking meals for her coworkers' lunches. That's going really well. I love the idea. She does an Aldi's grocery haul that's really interesting to follow. So check that out. Check out some of her budgeting budgeting videos. And then so now I want to get into kind of talking about what we've been talking about over the last few weeks, these side hustle ideas, and why it's important for everyone to have. And I think hustle is kind of a misnomer for it. It's not really the right word, because a lot of these you can do 5-10 hours a week at the most. And what we're talking about is doing something that you enjoy talking about. If you're starting a blog on budgeting, or like myself on making money, investing, I love talking about making money and investing. I do it 50, 60 hours a week as my full-time business, but you could do it 5 or 10 hours a week just kind of as a hobby, and it can really create a lot of money for you. Okay, so these aren't necessarily hustles that you're sitting at the computer sweating it out every single day. But you need these not only for the financial freedom that we talk about, and being able to just basically just not work anymore, which is what a lot of people think it is, but just for that income insurance. And what this is okay, 20, 30 years ago, you could get a job at a factory and be pretty much assured that you were going to be able to work there for that 30 or 40 years. You really didn't have to worry too much about layoffs, stuff like that. Well, what happened to those jobs? And we're seeing that trend just increase as even faster than it has ever been before. We're seeing artificial intelligence, we're seeing robotics, and I'm not talking about robots taking all the jobs and stuff like that, but it scares me. It does scare me how many people are still driving for an occupation, doing a lot of these jobs that might not be there, or will certainly not be there in the amount they are now. They already have self-driving cars, they already have trucks with self-driving capabilities that are going from coast to coast. They've already had a truck go from coast to coast without a driver. There was one instance where the driver was in the driver's seat but never touched the wheel. There's another driver where the driver was in the back, in the sleeping area of the truck the entire way. So, tell me in a few years, that's not just going to be, half the trucking industry. So that income insurance we're talking about, that is, creating another source of income that will, not only become a full-time job or something where you can achieve financial freedom, but it's going to help you when that life gets in the way. What do they call it? What do they say? Planning is when, life is when things get in the way of your plan, or something like that. It's a John Lennon quote. I can't quite remember what it is now. Maybe somebody will help me out here. That's kind of part of the reason why I love talking about these side hustle ideas, these little income streams that you can put together. And it's difficult for me to pick just one from the list. Like I said, we've covered 20 over the last 2 weeks. 2 of the videos were kind of a list video where I think I covered like 11, and then we did about 4 videos that covered in depth from start to finish how to do these. And we've covered some great ideas, a couple in the blogging ideas, how to start a blog with a niche blog or an affiliate blog, how to make money on Fiverr, self-publishing, that meal prep service we went into that I know Kelly is doing. And these are some great ideas. Anybody that's in the community, you're probably already tired of me talking about self-publishing and how much I think it's such a great side hustle to get into, because basically this is one you can start with just your computer and internet connection and a word processing document. You write it out. It works naturally with bloggers, because if you're already creating those ideas, that content for your blog, it's seamless just to put that together into a book, publish it on Amazon with your blog. I talk about my strategy for using the blog as a marketing source for your books to stay ranked on Amazon. Okay, so I do I've got 10 books self-published on Amazon, do it from $150 to $200 on average every month. So that's $1,500, that's $2,000 every month that I can count on from Amazon. It's all completely passive. And each one takes about 3 months. So love talking about self-publishing. Would love to talk about that more in detail with anybody that wants to hear about it. That meal prep service, I think this is an excellent opportunity, especially for those of you that maybe don't consider yourself tech savvy with blogging or some of these other online ideas. I would say spend some time to learn how to work those online ideas, because that is the future. And it's so much easier than some of these other manual labor kind of side hustle ideas we talk about. But that meal prep service, you're already cooking for your family. Why not just cook a little bit more in bulk and charge more? It costs, I think the video that we did on that showed it costs about $5 a meal, $5 a plate to cook a lot of these meals, and you can charge easily $15 for each one. So what we talked about was not necessarily having an a la carte menu, so people aren't calling you up to say, hey, I want this and this. No, you've got a website, or you just let your people in your neighborhood know that you're doing this, and you're cooking a specific meal each night. You're cooking, maybe you're doing spaghetti on Tuesday nights, or beef Wellington or whatever on Wednesday nights, and so you take orders in ahead of time, so you know how much to cook. You're just cooking a little bit extra, and you're getting those out there, and you're making, that's a 300% profit. If you're selling it for $15 a plate, you're making it for $5 a plate, and you're going to get a lot of customers, because people just don't want to cook. We'll be doing a lot of these videos. I want to start doing a little bit more step-by-step series, so not necessarily those lists ideas that is just hey, do this and do this for each idea. I want to do those step-by-step series, so you know how to get started from beginning to end. But again, I do need you to tell me what ones you like. Go through some of those videos that we've done in the past 2 weeks, those side hustle videos. Tell me what ideas you like and which ones you want to see in that step-to-step fashion. We're going to be doing I've got a create a course series that's 3 videos long in creating and marketing a course, everything you're going to need to know about it. I'm also doing a series on affiliate networks or affiliate sales that's going to be very detailed, and that's coming up. So we will have a question and answer later on in the in the live stream here. Again, I want to thank everybody for showing up. It's it's just fun for me to kind of reach out and talk to everybody in the community. And so I want to kind of scroll through here. I see Kelly, Freedom and Budgets here, and Mary. Thanks for being here. Philip, yep, hoorah. Just got out of the Marine Corps in 2001. Actually, he was an armorer. So loved my time in the Marine Corps and loved serving. Susan Jones, this isn't interactive. interactive how, as far as question and answer. We'll have question and answer at the end. It's kind of hard to read through, what I want to talk about and get to comments during, but we'll definitely get to your comments. And anybody in the community will tell you I respond to every single comment on the videos. So if you've ever got a question or want to talk about anything in particular, go to the videos, leave a comment, and I always respond to those. So now I want to talk about a couple of things. The Friday's video and Monday's video with JD coming up, as well as kind of a sneak peek into what we're going to be covering in the next 2 weeks here. Some excellent investing videos. We've talked about how to make that extra money. Now, what do you do with it once you've got it? How to make it work for you. So did Friday's interview with JD, and we've got the second part coming up tomorrow in the interview. And JD, if you don't know him, JD Roth is really kind of a pioneer for those of us in the financial bloggers space. He started his blog Get Rich Slowly in 2006, so that's pretty close to about as soon as you could start a blog and have any real traffic. He actually ended up selling it in 2009 for undisclosed millions, and kind of went away for a little bit and came back and then bought it back just last year to kind of share his experience with financial freedom. And what I love about the videos is, in the first video, we talked about what financial freedom really means, and I think it's kind of surprising for a lot of people, because it's not necessarily never having to work again, because a lot of people, JD in particular, he's a great example. He reached that financial freedom, sold his blog, never had to work a day in his life again, and then, then what? What the hell is he going to do for the next, he was about 40 years old, so 40, 50 years. So that's, I think, one is why some of these side hustle ideas or some of these side ideas are so important, because they really give you an outlet to enjoy what you're doing and make money off of it at the same time. But we also talked about, how financial freedom isn't necessarily that singular point idea where, okay, I've got enough money, I've got my $1 million for retirement or whatever, but it's a progression. And this is something I talked to Sarah Wilson, the budget girl, during FinCon last year. And it's the idea that, it's not just that one point, but it's that progression, because I guarantee when you pay off your bills or pay down those debts, you will feel it's an amazing feeling of getting that burden lifted off you. And that's financial freedom. You're still going to have to work every day. You're still going to have to do a lot of things that you might not necessarily enjoy all the time, but you still have that sense of financial freedom from not having as many debts as you did. So it is a progression. It's a progression from paying down your debt, being able to take control of your finances, to creating extra income with some of these ideas that we've talked about. Really being able to do more things, travel more, spend more time with the family, all the way to that popular idea, I guess, of financial freedom, where it's you've got enough money that you never have to work again, and then like we said, that's the point that you get to, kind of that enlightenment. Well, I don't have to work, but I want to work, and that's really a great feeling. Tomorrow's second part with JD, loved it, because he starts talking about kind of the income side rather than just talking about the budgeting side of financial freedom. So he talks a lot about balancing income and a budget, and we actually spend some time on talking about how to make more money at your regular job. I love talking about side hustles and everything, but I understand it's not for everyone. What you can do, though, to make that extra money that you need, just make more at your work, and it's part of becoming an asset to your employer and being able to negotiate for that higher rate. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video, and then now we've got after that we've got a series, I think, about 5 videos on investing. We're going to update on the 2019 dividend portfolio, and see if I can log back in here to my to the dividend portfolio, and we'll kind of. Okay, so for those of you that have been following the 2019 dividend challenge, the stock market challenge portfolio that we've got going, I invested $1,000 on M1 Finance, which is a great option for investors. It's no cost. You pay absolutely no fees on this, and so that's going to save you The average investor, according to Fidelity, makes 88 trades a year. So even at some of the cheapest platforms out there, $10 each, that's almost $1,000. That's $880 a year you're paying on fees. So why not go with an option like M1 Finance, where you can save that money, invest it, and and let it grow from there. So this is our dividend portfolio so far. We're going to be updating that. I think that's going to be on April 7th or something. I'd have to check, but Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays is when we come out with the the videos. Up 21% so far this year. I think the S&P 500, the stock market, is up just over 12%, so we're still really happy with how the portfolio is doing compared to the market. We've gotten, I think, somewhere around about $7 in dividends so far in the last 3 months from the stocks. All really good dividend-paying stocks, and we'll cover some of these individual stocks that we picked in the update. Hanesbrand's still doing far and away the best at 55% return over the last 2 months. I think there's still some upside in this, but you remember in that second update, I cut some of the profits out of this to buy some other stuff, just because you want to take some of your winners when you can. The stock that we did buy in that update, this Conagra Brands, which is now up 27% just since February, so that was obviously a great buy. General Mills up 32%. Some of these other stocks, Banco ZK has fallen a little bit from where it was. I think it was up about 35% for a while. So 8 of these 11 stocks are beating the market, and then even the ones that aren't, I still believe they've got some real potential in them, and so we'll be updating that when we do our April update. Then what else we got coming? We've got one video that I really enjoyed doing, and it's something that okay, Pratik, yep, I'm seeing chats not covering a lot of the questions yet. We'll have the Q&A real quick here. I just want to cover some of the investing videos we've got coming up. Dividend stocks, the experts are buying is a video coming up, I think, Wednesday. And it's something I used to do as my part of my job as an analyst for a lot of these the venture capital fund that I worked with, and some of the other Wall Street bulge bracket banks that I worked with, is finding this institutional and activist buyers. Finding the stocks Carl Icahn is investing in, and it's important for 2 reasons. One is just the sheer volume, the sheer amount of money that these big pension funds, these hedge funds put into these stocks. It really drives momentum in these stocks. I mean, the vast majority of trading on the exchanges is done by these hedge funds, by these institutional investors. So I'm going to share a couple of ways to find those. But then also another very important reason why you need to be covering these experts and what they're investing is because most of them invest on a fundamental basis, and for at least a 3 or 5 year time horizon. Right, so I know a lot of us are sitting there. We've got full-time jobs, and we can't be spending the 20 or 30 hours analyzing an individual stock. I mean, that's actually how much time I used to spend analyzing each individual stock for a report that I would present to the portfolio manager. But that's just impossible to do for a lot of us. So what you can do is, when you follow these institutional and activist investors, they're doing all that research and all that homework themselves. So I mean, they've got armies of analysts behind them working on these. So if they're buying in, they've probably got a pretty good reason, and they're usually going to give a presentation on why they bought into these. So we'll be covering that on, I think it's a Wednesday of this week. We'll be talking about that. Got another video coming out on penny stocks, and we usually don't talk about penny stocks on the channel, but it is a good opportunity if you're ready for that risk. I'll be sharing a screener on how to find those penny stocks, and how to make sure that they're growing. I always look for not only revenue growth in the companies, but also operational growth or cash flow. And we'll talk about why earnings aren't really the best the best way to look at a stock. And like I said, okay, April 8th is going to be our dividend portfolio update. So I'll be talking through that, as well as talking about some other concepts there. So now I want to talk, and I want to give you time to answer some of your questions here. If I didn't see your question, then go ahead and ask it again. Okay, so I see first The Realm asks M1 or Robinhood, and I know Robinhood is extremely popular here on YouTube. And probably basically it's because they offer the biggest commissions. Robinhood offers affiliate commissions for a lot of people. So a lot of people kind of are incentivized to promote Robinhood. And I'm not saying it's not a great app, it's not a great platform. It is no cost investing, so that's nice. But understand with Robinhood, you don't have access to those retirement accounts. Okay, and so when we get back to why I'm using M1 Finance, because I set up my Roth account in there, I can invest in those dividend stocks and not pay taxes on the dividends every single year. With Robinhood, if you've got dividend stocks in there, or if you sell a stock, you're going to have to pay taxes in that year that you sell, those capital gains taxes. So until Robinhood gets set up with with those retirement account options, the IRA and the Roth, then I think M1's probably a better choice. They're both no cost, they're both no fee, but with M1 you just get that added benefit of being able to defer your taxes for decades in advance. Nobody asks M1 or Vanguard. I still like M1. It's an actual platform that you can invest in individual stocks as well as the funds, as well as the Vanguard funds. Whereas Vanguard, you're going to be confined to their ETFs, their Admiral shares. Now, I'm a huge fan of Vanguard, and I mean you see in the portfolio, the dividend stock portfolio in our 2019 challenge, I've got the Vanguard Real Estate Fund, probably my favorite ETF of any ETF out there. Is the VNQ. But yeah, I just like to have it in there to be able to have that individual stock as well. What are the best investments you can make after capping out a 401k at 19,000? It's a great question, and I've talked about on the platform or on the channel before your order of how to invest. And again, like I said, how to invest is so much more important than what to invest. Because first you want to max out your 401k, max out up to your employer's contribution, right? Because that's free money. If your employer is offering you a 50% match, that's free money. And Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, nobody can get that kind of a return. That's like a 50% automatic return. Plus you've got the added benefit of being tax-free until you withdraw. So always max out your employer match on your 401k. Now, I'm actually not a huge fan of 401ks beyond that, just because of the fees. They're usually higher fees on the ETFs or on the mutual funds that they offer. Plus you've got other fees involved. So it's not a low cost way to invest, and you're usually confined to just a group of funds offered by your manager. So beyond capping out that employer match on your 401k, then you go to an IRA or a Roth. Okay, now so they just increased the limit to $6,000 a year. You can invest into one of these two tax-advantaged retirement accounts, right? And everybody says, I don't want my money locked up until I'm 59 and a half. Well, what? You don't think you're going to need money when you're 60? Even that $6,000, most people, you should be saving a little bit more beyond that as well, that you can put in a regular taxable account and have access to whenever you want it. But you are definitely going to need money after you're 60 years old. So put it in one of these two accounts and really benefit from that. Okay. Now what you do is, because you're confined to $6,000 in both of them combined each year, right? So you could split them 3,000 and 3,000, or you just do all to one or whatever. Well, what you do is put it all in your IRA, right? A traditional IRA, you get that immediate tax benefit each year that you contribute. Okay. Then every few years you just transfer some of that into a Roth account, right? And those transfers that you make from an IRA into a Roth account, they don't count against your annual limit. They don't count against that 6,000. So in that same year, you can still put 6,000 into your IRA while still transferring some into your Roth. What this is going to do is it's going to give you the max contribution you can every year. It's going to give you money in both an IRA and a Roth IRA. And a lot of people, they like that immediate tax benefit, and that's great with an IRA. But a Roth is so much more important, in my opinion. Nobody knows what taxes are going to be like 20 or 30 years into the future. Roth IRA is going to give you that flexibility. In the future, you're going to have some money from your IRA that's going to be taxed when you withdraw it. Then you're going to have some money from your Roth IRA that is not taxed. It's completely tax-free money, okay, tax-free income. Another reason why I love Roth IRAs is because they are, while you're paying income taxes, when you do that transfer, you're going to have to pay income taxes on that money because you didn't pay it when you put it in into your traditional IRA. You have to pay income taxes, but that is growing tax-free forever. You're not only getting the tax benefit on the money you put in when you take it out, but the returns as well. You never pay taxes on returns in a Roth IRA. Compare that to a traditional IRA where you get that immediate tax benefit, sure. But when you take that money out, you're paying taxes on whatever you put in plus all the returns you made. Okay, so do not overlook, do not neglect or avoid that Roth IRA as an option. Okay, so what else we got? Side hustles. Okay. Missing some of these questions here. I apologize, but I'm going to try to get caught up here. So what other questions we have? Real estate. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of experience with the Indian market, making money there. As far as side hustles, I do a lot of outsourcing for my own business to freelancers there. So I know that's a really popular idea and really popular. Really popular option to look for. The best side hustles in India, that's the best side hustles in the USA. Again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, and I need you to help me with the side hustles that you're interested in, so I can do more detailed, in-depth looks into them. From my own perspective, my own opinion. Like I said, blogging is what I started with. Actually, I started with freelancing. So you start with freelancing. Helping other bloggers is a great way to not only make money immediately, but you're also kind of building your skills for your own blog. Okay, so you start working with bloggers, maybe as a social media manager. Which is hugely in demand. It's actually something that I'm always looking for, somebody to help me with my social media promotion. You've got writing for bloggers. Bloggers always need writing. They always need people to help them monetize their blogs. So writing up, affiliate posts or seeking out new affiliates or just tracking their affiliates. So there's a lot of freelancing ideas within that blogging idea that you can do 5-10 hours a week again, and really be building your skills. So when you do, then you start your own blog. You've already got, you've already hooked into the community of bloggers. So you've got a lot of support and you've got a lot of help there. You've already got the skills, and then, you start growing your own blog. I started my blogs in 2013, started 4 of them. I've actually started 6, and I've sold off a couple since then. But they're 6,000-7,000 a month. That's not including the money I make from YouTube and some other sources. Blogging is a hugely profitable income source once you have that momentum build up. It will take a little while, and that's why I love. That's why I love combining it with self-publishing, okay? Because once you start that blog, you're creating content, you're writing every single week, okay? It takes nothing to reformat that, put it into a book, put it on Amazon. Now with the blog, you've got marketing from your blog into the Amazon, into your book. So that's going to help keep you ranked and keep you selling on Amazon. Plus, you're on the the #1 e-commerce platform in the world selling your book. You might be making maybe $4 or $5 a book, but if you're selling, I sell about 60 copies each book every month without having to do anything. So again, that's between $1,500 to $2,000 every month I can count on. Amazon pays out 28th, 29th of every month. So just a couple days ago, I checked my bank account and it was all there. It's every single month. You can count on it. It's passive income, and it really gives you that motivation, to start to keep going with your blog, building that momentum that. And building to that 6-figure income. So some great side hustle strategy there. Starting with freelancing for bloggers, working your way up, building your own blogs, self-publishing, and then it just grows from there into a legitimate business. What else do we have? Some other questions here. Working on side hustles using animal videos. Yeah, I loved doing that in-depth walkthrough of the Creative Commons strategy on YouTube, because I thought it was illegal what these people were doing, or against the terms of service of YouTube. You see these animal videos or these baby videos, and they get millions of hits, millions of views. And it's basically just searching on YouTube for that Creative Commons videos, putting that into a compilation video. And yeah, you know, $1 million. So even if you're getting maybe a third of a penny per view, if you're getting 1 million hits on a video, that's $3,000 for one video. And you can get it to where these videos are taking maybe an hour or two to put together and post. So it's just a really great way to put stuff together. So Freedom in a Budget is saying for some, you know, house sitting, meal prepping, babysitting, affiliate marketing, YouTube. Yep. I love YouTube. You know, I mean, not only because it is a great income source, but it's so personal. You know, like I said, running the blog since 2013, freelancing for bloggers before that, but I never got that face-to-face feel or that personal connection with a lot of people. And now, right now, you know, I've got 67 people. We're in the chat here. We're talking back and forth, and it feels like a community. You know, I love getting on these live streams and talking back and forth with people, and it's something that you don't get with a lot of these other side hustles. So YouTube is an excellent strategy. Something that you can talk about what you love doing. I love talking about making money, investing money. So basically, I'm just, you know, hanging out, talking about my passions, and making pretty good money at it. You know, I'm averaging about $3,500 a month on YouTube ads. That's just the ads that YouTube runs, you know, before the videos. I'm doing anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 on sponsored videos. So basically, right now I'm charging, you know, companies about $500 a video to talk about their product, all that. And then, you know, you also do affiliate marketing through your videos, talking about different tools you use. So, for example, you know, I talk about Bluehost that I use for all my blogs. I recommend it to everyone, and you know, that's an affiliate marketing idea. So definitely YouTube. The meal prep, again, I cannot say enough about this meal prep idea. You know, it's a great income source that you're already doing, and you can really develop it into, you know, into a full service catering business if you want to stick with that. But it can also be just kind of a passive income source, you know, something you're already doing already. You just need to bulk it up and make a little bit more. Okay, what else we got? Salon franchise ideas. You know, I mean, I love the idea of a salon in that service industry idea. Not always real big on franchises. You know, what's stopping you from just opening up a space in a you know, local mall or somewhere and just, you know, having a salon? With franchises, a lot of times they're priced to the point where you've got your royalties and all that, where it's very hard for the franchisee to make money. You know, what a lot of people don't see in these franchises is not only do you pay your royalty fees, you pay your revenue fees, so a percentage of your revenues, but you also have to order all your products from the company. And that's how a lot of these franchises are set up, just to make money on those products that they sell. You know, all the equipment, all the products they sell. So look into it. I mean, if you think you can make it profitable, then by all means go for it. But you know, really look into all the fees that you're paying into that compared to what you could do just by starting up your own. What else? Can 5 stocks you recommended for B? 5 stocks recommended for beginners to be bought on M1. Now, not quite sure which 5 stocks you mean. Maybe that 5 stock index fund portfolio. And yes, they're all available there. Those are all, I believe those are mostly Vanguard funds, but I've got a few iShares funds that I prefer in there as well. Those are all available on M1. Basically, you're going to be able to buy those with no fees. And what I love about M1 also, besides just buying that, you know, investing with no fees, but you can rebalance with no fees as well. So what I talk about a lot is that lifelong goals-based investing, right? So you don't necessarily need to change the way you're investing, the stocks that you're investing in, more than maybe every 5 years. If you've got a good core satellite portfolio, which means, you know, a group of five or six ETFs that give you broad exposure to the stock market, bond market, and real estate, and then maybe some individual stocks that you really like for the long term, then you really don't need to change. You really don't need to pick new stocks. You just keep on putting money into those. Well, with M1, you can put money in every month with no fees. But then, you know, maybe after, okay, we're 10 years into a bull market and stocks have taken off, bonds haven't gone as much, gone quite as far. So at this point, you know, a lot of stock investors, they have a lot of their portfolio, a lot of their wealth in stocks. Well, what happens when, like we saw last December, when stocks come down, when a stock market crash comes, because it will come, you know, then if you've got 70 or 80% of your money in stocks in those stock funds or individual stocks, that's going to get hit hard. And most people, they've just let their stock portfolio, that stock portion of their wealth, grow and grow and grow, and that's fine. But there's a time for rebalancing. A time for checking back on your goals and making sure that your investments match those goals. And usually that means having a little bit more in bonds and a little bit more in real estate than most people have. Well, with M1, what you can do, you go back into your portfolio and you just rebalance it for free. If you've got 10 stocks and funds in your portfolio, you don't have to pay the $100 that you would pay on a regular stock investing platform for 10 trades. You rebalance for free and you're good for another 5 years. What else? What do we got? How do you promote a YouTube channel? Yeah, I mean that's one of the hardest things for a channel is actually promoting it, getting new people to come in. And I say, social media. Actually, we did a social media strategy video about 2 weeks ago as part of our Build a Blog series. I've actually put a link into the Build a Blog checklist that you'll want to check out. That's 5 videos from start to finish, how to start a blog, how to grow it, and one of those is a social media strategy, and it'll work not only for a blog but for a YouTube channel as well. It just talks about using focusing your efforts on 2, maybe 3 social media channels. You don't want to be everywhere all the time. What you want to do, you want to focus on Facebook, Pinterest, and maybe Instagram or even Twitter, and really engage. A lot of people, they don't understand that social media is social, right? So you've got to get on there. You've got to back and forth with people. You've got to participate in groups and actually be social to build that relationship with other people before they're going to click over. The click-through rate, so the rate at which people actually click on stuff in Facebook is actually less than 1%. So less than 1 out of 100 people is actually going to click through to your blog post or to your YouTube channel unless you've developed that trust and that relationship and that back and forth. So look for that social media strategy video within our blog series. You can go to the video description below, download that free checklist to our Build a Blog series, and it has links to each video within that. What else? What are your thoughts on using a stop loss order to lock in profits? From Devin. Thanks. It's actually a very popular question. I appreciate it. I don't like stop loss orders, actually. From my days of trading and working, working with some of my Wall Street clients as an analyst, we used to call stop loss orders guaranteed loss orders, right? Because just because you set that price that you want to sell, basically, for those of you that don't know, a stop loss order is when you're invested in a stock, you can tell the platform to sell this stock at any time it reaches this price. So a lot of people think that, if some bad news comes out or something and the stock drops, then I'll be able to get out at that price of that stop loss order. And it's just not the truth. That's not how those work, because the market takes all information that it has and simultaneously changes the price, right? So if you've got Teva comes out with, we're being sued in the opioid crisis, and it's going to cost us $30 billion. Well, that news is immediately going to send the shares down 10 or 20%. And there aren't going to be buyers for your stop loss order. So basically, you're going to get, if the price of Teva shares are selling at $30, your stop loss order is 25. So you're saying if it drops to 25, I want to get out. I want to cut my losses or just lock in those profits. There's not going to be buyers at 25. You're going to be selling your shares at that next available price at 20. Okay, and so what a lot of times this will do is the stock will just drop by a massive amount or whatever amount it drops by. Your stop loss order gets triggered. And then, people start, they come off of that knee-jerk reaction. They're like, okay, so maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought originally. It'll come up a little bit over the day of that news, and then maybe even over the next week, it'll come up a little bit. So, stop loss orders, I understand the appeal of being able to automate that get-out strategy. But it's really not the best way to invest because a lot of times you're just going to lock in that loss. Whereas if you see the news coming across, you're like, okay, well that sucks that the stock dropped so much. But where is it now? Do I like it now? Do I want to stay in it? Maybe get a little bit of that rebound, or do I want to cut my losses and get out now? So great question though. What else do we have? Meet Kevin and Grant Cardone. I know I've seen a couple of Meet Kevin's videos. I haven't really followed him a whole lot. Grant Cardone as well. I haven't really followed him a lot. People that I follow are well, we can just go in and look at who I follow in my in my feed. So again, we talked about Kelly from Freedom in a Budget. Great channel for budgeting, those grocery haul ideas, meal prep she's doing. We also talked about Mary from Life on a Budget, another great channel for talking about budgeting and her budget planner that she uses. What else? Budget Girl is another part of our FinCon community, which is a financial bloggers community. A great channel. She's been around for a very long time and some excellent videos there. If you're interested in creating and growing a YouTube channel, then this vidIQ channel is very good, as well as Tim Schmoyer and Daryl Leaves are good channels to follow. Who else do I follow here? I know Financial Education is an okay one. From Military to Millionaire, great new channel with a fellow Marine, so I've got to give him a shout out. Letitia Stiles is good in personal finance as well. One Big Happy Life is a great family vlog kind of channel that I follow. That is it's a husband and wife, Joseph and I forget her name. Somebody will fill me in pretty quick because we have a lot of the FinCon people here. But Joseph and Tasha, they're both lawyers actually, and they're transitioning to YouTube. So if there's any doubt, if there was ever any doubt, the power of YouTube as far as making money and creating a side business, you've got two lawyers here that are making pretty darn good money, are actually transitioning to just their YouTube channel. So that's that. Roberto Blake is a great how-to YouTube channel as well. A couple of the FinCon people that I want. There we go. True Financials. Dennis at True Financials is another great budgeting kind of channel to follow, and he talks about some other stuff. A really interesting channel that I like, Blackjack Apprentice, and this is Colin. If you've ever thought about counting cards or gambling kind of thing, it's a really interesting channel. That channel's really blown up over the last a few months, and it really gets you into the idea of how professional card counting actually is. It is like a full-time job, really. But some great information there, and he's got a course as well. So those are just some of the channels that I follow, and some great ideas in the personal finance and making money space. Check back in. I want to get to everybody's questions, talk to everybody I can, because like I said, half of these live streams are just so I can reach out and talk to everybody and have fun, have little informal chats to answer your questions and really be part of the community. Again, I appreciate all the questions here on the chat, all the questions you leave in the comments, and again, while we're talking about these investing and side hustles, it's very hard for me sometimes to know what to talk about, because I've been in that world for so long. I started as a commercial property analyst while I was in college. Then I went pretty quickly into investment analysis and worked for venture capital funds and some of these larger banks on Wall Street. So it's kind of hard knowing what in investing, the beginner type of investing that I need to talk about to help everybody. And side hustles as well. Like I said, I've been working online for about 6 years now, building blogs, ad marketing, affiliate networking, and that kind of thing. So it's hard for me to put my mind into that beginner's perspective. So anytime you have a question, leave it in the comments. Give me ideas for what you want to see and what you need to help you reach that sense of financial freedom that we talked about. Some other stuff, some other questions here. Looks like, shout out to Buzzy Girl, Ocean Strategy. Okay, do you think a U.S. or even global recession is actually coming in 2020, or is that overblown? And that's a great question. That's something that, it's hard for me to not talk about that question a lot, because when I was working for venture capital and as a private analyst, then that's exactly what I had to talk about and look at every single day. But you know what? For the vast majority of investors, it doesn't matter. Okay, if you've got anywhere from 10 or 15 years or more to retirement, it does not matter, because you're going to see a few of those stock market crashes and up. So it's really better. What I like to talk about is goals-based investing. So investing on your goals, not investing in that returns-based investing and trying to time the market and be in and out. That said, there is, all the points or all the data is pointing to a recession. Not necessarily maybe this year. I do think maybe later on in the year we'll see another period of losses like we saw in December. Just because what you have to understand is the stock market is forward-looking. We have all this information, and that's baked into stocks. So where analysts make their money, and where stocks have to be actually is 6 months into the future. That's if everybody has the same information, then the only way to make money is to be able to, I don't want to say predict, but to take all this information and kind of predict it out 6 months into the future, where stock prices and that investor sentiment are going. So if we're looking 6 months out into the future, by the end of 2019, we're already pricing stocks at where they will be at, mid 2020. And I definitely think, with where rates are, everybody likes talking about the inverted yield curve, which that might not be the best predictor as it once was, just because of global rates. But we're definitely seeing a slowdown. So you want to be investing for your goals, but it's not a bad idea to make sure that you rebalance your portfolio for money in bonds and money in real estate. It's the best thing you can do is just make sure that your portfolio is segmented into the portion you want in stocks. So for most people, that's going to be anywhere from 50 to 60% in stocks, another 15 to 20% in bonds. And for that, you can, a lot of those ETF that covers bonds. You don't have to buy individual bonds, which can be expensive. And then the rest in real estate. Don't overlook that real estate exposure. And just buy the VNQ. The Vanguard Real Estate Fund gives you great exposure into that commercial real estate space. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy a bunch of individual properties and do that. Although, that's I'm a big fan of real estate and direct real estate purchase. Lending Club, John, is a great idea as well. If you've seen any of my Lending Club videos, I'm a big believer in Lending Club. It's kind of a bond-like investment, and a lot of people will say, okay, well, when the next recession comes, people are going to stop paying their loans, and Lending Club investments is going to crash, and not necessarily. If you look at the average credit score of people on Lending Club, people borrowing money in these peer-to-peer loans, the average credit score is like 700 FICO, which is pretty solid. The average annual household income for these borrowers is somewhere upwards. I have to check it again this year. I haven't checked it since last year, but it was like $65,000, which is well above the that average median income for most households. So these are fairly good credit quality borrowers. And in one of my videos, I share the filters that I use that actually help me avoid those defaults and boost my return a little bit, which is going to be stuff like do they have a mortgage, do they have a certain level of income, kind of using those filters. The minimum I believe is $1,000. Thank you, Devin, for adding that. So $1,000, but realistically you want to start out with at least maybe $1,200 to $1,500 on Lending Club, because your minimum is $25 per loan that you invest in. And you want at least 50 to 100 loans to really diversify your loans. Otherwise, if you only start with $1,000, then you get 40 loans, right? $25 each, and each one of those is about 2.5% of your portfolio. So somebody defaults on a loan, you're out 2.5% of your portfolio right there. Okay, so what you want about 100 loans or more. I actually have something like 300 and some loans in my portfolio. And that means each loan is maybe 1/3%. So if a loan defaults, it doesn't really affect my portfolio so much. And I use that filter, and on average the loans are paying out, and I'm at about 9 to 10% return on that, which is a great diversifier for your stocks, bonds, and real estate portfolio. The best REITs to start off with. I know I'm missing a lot of these questions, folks. I'm trying to hit as many as possible. If I don't answer your question here, I'm going to come back and I'll answer them in the comment section after the video. Best REITs to start out with, stuff like I'd use here kind of the strategy I use for my overall stock portfolio as well. And so we talked about that core satellite strategy, where you have the majority of your money, maybe 60 or 70% in ETFs, so funds, right? That's going to give you broad exposure to some really great assets, really great investments, and then you use that other 20 or 30% to invest in individual stocks that give you maybe a little bit more upside. It's the same thing with real estate ETFs, right, or real estate investing. So maybe you have the majority of your money in that Vanguard VNQ fund. There's also an international real estate, so real estate ex-US fund. I think Vanguard has it as well. Maybe somebody can find me the ticker on that. But that's going to give you obviously a very broad exposure to U.S. and international real estate, which is a great place to start. And then you start filling it in with some smaller REITs, right? So I've got Digital Realty, which is a data center stock, and I think with the coming of 5G, those data centers, they're going to need to be local. They're going to need to be much more. So I think it's a real opportunity for a lot of these digital or these data center REITs. So Digital Realty is one I own. Another one I own is that self-storage. And I'd have to look to see what the ticker is, but self-storage is a very low cost way to manage real estate. So the returns on those are pretty good, as well as something we're actually going to talk about I've got another investing video coming up, not this week, but the next week, on best stocks for the next 30 years. And what I talk about in those is this big macro ideas. So investing in stocks according to those huge macro trends, those like aging population, the AI and shift to robotics, as well as some of those huge forces that are really going to be driving specific sectors. Okay, and how this relates back to real estate is, you look at healthcare spending and healthcare demand. Okay, so I'm in a couple other healthcare related REITs that are running hospitals and clinics and stuff like that. What else do we see here? VNQ is good. Okay, any IRAs or Roth IRAs to purchase? You don't necessarily purchase a Roth IRA or an IRA. It's just a type of retirement account that you can set up and then put investments in that. Self-storage, PSA. There we go. I own PSA. Great self-storage, one. And EXR is actually pretty good too as well. What stock should I buy? So if you're just starting out investing, $500, $100, you really want to diversify. Again, it's not necessarily how much you invest in, but that how of investing or what you invest in versus the how. Okay, you want that core group of ETFs. So you put together, and this is something we talked about it in a couple months ago in that ETF, that 5 ETF portfolio, where you're going to have a couple of stock funds, you're going to have a bond fund. And I think I used the AGG, which is the aggregate bond fund, which holds a lot of different U.S. bonds. You're going to have the VNQ, which is going to give you real estate exposure. And then around that, you do some individual stocks. And what a lot of people don't understand, though, when we're talking about investing, it's not your returns. Okay, think about investing as a really great return on a savings account, because that's what it is. If you actually look at it, and I've got a graphic here, if I can find it, but if you look at your investing account, how much it's worth, how much you have in it, and you put in a certain amount every month. So we'll say $50 a month you put into your investing account, and it grows at about 7-8% a year. The returns part of that account, okay, so you've got your how much you put in, and then how much in returns, your total amount. The returns part of that isn't more than the savings part until 20 years. You go 20 years and that savings portion is worth more than the returns, right? So it just reinforces the idea that it's not what you start out with in your investments. It's not what you start out with, but just it's how much you put in every single month. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. $50 a month will grow to I want to say $180,000 over 30 years. $50 a month in an investment account at I think it's about 8 or 9%. I did the numbers, and 30 years you'll have $180,000, which is actually more than most people have saved for retirement at all. Anybody can save $50 a month. If you can save more, do it. But yeah, just get started. think of investments as a savings account, and that's, and do that. Thank you, Caddy Nash. I appreciate you being a part of the community. I appreciate everybody being here. Oh yeah, becoming a CFA is really hard. I spent it's a 3-year program. For most people who don't know, a Chartered Financial Analyst is really the professional designation for investment analysts, and it's a 3-year program. 6 hour each year. You have a different 6-hour test. Closed book, close everything. And it pretty much covers everything you learn. Actually, if you want to learn how to pick stocks and really what professional investors do, analysts do to pick stocks, you can get a copy of the CFA curriculum. Each year's books. You can get a copy. Usually, get a copy for free at your local library. Read through those. It's going to show you all the cash flow modeling that we do. All the income statement and the financial statement stuff that we look at. Really a great resource for that professional side of investing. If you ever wanted that. Need to make $1,000 in the next weeks and something legit. Okay, Simone, we did. I did. I think last week, Monday, I think, was how to make $10,000 fast. So there was 7 ideas there. Some really good fast ideas. For fast, because there is a difference between making money really fast and making money good. Making money that's going to last and going to come in every month. You could definitely do like a meal prep service that we've talked about, where you're cooking extra meals every night and selling those to neighbors and stuff. That's fast. That's about as fast as it gets. Those kind of service manual kind of jobs. And they're great, but you're always going to be exchanging your time for money. That's really what I want to get a lot of you to here, is not exchanging your time for money, not doing these kinds of stuff that require work every single day or every single night. If you're running a blog or running a YouTube channel, sure, you're still working, you're still creating those videos and stuff, but you're creating momentum also. That is, like I said, I'm making about $3,500 a month on YouTube ads. And the vast majority of that, I'd say about 90%, are from old videos that have built that momentum and are still getting views. So what we really want to focus on is making that money fast that you need to get you over that hump maybe, but creating those sources of income that are going to build momentum, that are going to become passive, and are really going to get you to where you need to be. So what else we have? Acquiring annuities worth it. So are you talking about buying annuities or investing in annuities? I guess I don't quite understand. Another one, when should you sell? When should you sell stocks? Did another video on that. Actually, this one was about two months ago, and it's really not for what most people think about. When people think about, when should I sell a stock? It's not. Price has nothing to do with it, because like we said, like we talked about, the second some news comes out about a stock, it's already built into the price. So if you're seeing that price drop, it's already too late to sell a stock. When you want to sell a stock, and we talked about 5 reasons that really look for that video. Is a couple of months ago, when to sell a stock, because there's some really great reasons. You look at faith in management. If the company has been through a problem, a lawsuit, or a scandal or something, it's not necessarily that scandal or that lawsuit, because again, that news is already out. That news is already affecting the stock price. But it's that accountability after that. So what you want to look for is, if there is a scandal, if there is a lawsuit, and what we saw with Wells Fargo was the example I used, is that they knew that that their customer service people were opening false accounts for like 4 years before any of this blew up. But there was no accountability. They laid off maybe like 3,000 people because of it, but they were all the customer service people. The management never was accountable for any of this. And so obviously, what we saw was this culture of that scandal just kept on growing and growing, and finally it came out, and the stock lost however many percent, 10, 20%. They've been through 2 CEOs. The original CEO that was caught up in the scandal, he quit, but only after everybody was telling him he had to quit. There was no accountability, no saying, okay, you were responsible for this. And then just last week, I think the CEO, the CEO after that quit as well, because he hasn't been able to really right the ship. So scandals, the accountability and that response to the scandals is an important one. But there was 5 reasons really where you need to sell a stock, and we covered that in that video. So we are coming up on, actually we're over an hour in the live stream, so I want to kind of cut it off there. But again, if I didn't get to your question, please ask it in the comments. I'm gonna respond to every single one of those. And like I said earlier, I need your help. Any videos, anytime you have a question or you like something or don't like something, ask it in the comments. I look at every single comment. I answer every single comment when I get to it. And I need your help in understanding what you need to be able to grow your sense of financial freedom and like we talk about, reach that financial future that you deserve. Because like I said, I've been in this game for so long that a lot of times it's hard to understand the beginner's perspective. So I need your help. I need your comments. I need anytime you really like a video, go ahead and share it with your friends. And I love growing the community here. I love talking to each one of you, and we'll be doing these every week. So every week, Saturday or Sunday. I don't know which one you guys prefer most, and what time. We did this 2 p.m. Eastern here. We might do it a little bit earlier. See how people like that, but. Come back and ask your questions. I love being able to talk back and forth with you like this. So until next week, I will look for your comments in the comments and answer your questions there.